Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the another episode of CoinNewsExtra virtual panel discussion. This episode is the episode 10 of CoinNewsExtra virtual panel discussion. Today we will be talking about the impact of COVID-19 on blockchain and cryptocurrency summit. And we have ladies and a gentleman that is joining us, innovators in the ecosystem. They are contributing to the advancement of this ecosystem. So we have Tavonia Evans. She is the founder of Coin, and she's joining us from America. Tavonia, you are welcome to CoinNewsExtra.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. We have the only man. They used to say that cryptocurrency is being dominated by men, but today on this panel discussion is being dominated by ladies. So today the only man joining us on the show is Ahmed Manzoor. Ahmed Manzoor is a blockchain solution architect. He is joining us from Pakistan. You're welcome, Ahmed.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me on this panel. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's our pleasure. So we have next that is joining us. She is Sonia Balor. Sonia Balor is the founder, Like-Minded Females. She is joining us from the UK. Sonia, you are welcome to CoinNewsExtra.
Thank you so much. This is very exciting to be able to join everyone from all over the world and talk about this topic.
Thank you very much. So the last but not the least, she is Fiazin Kanwa. Fiazin Kanwa is blockchain and mainframe developer. She is joining us from Australia. Fiazin, you are welcome to CoinNewsExtra.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on this panel with all the big people, I mean experienced people in blockchain. A really nice experience. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. You are welcome. I welcome you all to CoinNewsExtra panel discussion. It's a pleasure to have you. So today we're talking about the impact of COVID-19 on blockchain and cryptocurrency. So we've seen what is happening in the world. The pandemic, it has really changed things and how things are being done and how we do things in recent times with this pandemic, which we pray will be over soon. So that brought us to this topic. So we'll be talking about it. So let me start with the question. Are the same information networking and audience for crypto and blockchain summit being achieved? Is the same reason for having physical events being achieved now that we have moved to virtual conferences and summit? So Ahmed, what can you say about it?
Actually, one of the biggest summit I have attended, that is Future Blockchain Summit in Dubai. That is one of the biggest summit in Middle East and Asia actually. So that's postponed, and I'm not looking very near future that it will be doing again. So I think now everything is going to be virtual, and everybody is going to be understand that work from home is something, and the technology works like that way. So hopefully, basically, this is things to move towards actually. So I think this is not coming back very soon. All things, because now people understand that this is how the technology works. Like we are connected from different 5 subcontinents, right? We all are connected. You are from Africa, from Europe, and we have all. So this is where we are moving forward. So I don't think this is coming very soon. Again, the summit's something.
Okay, thank you. Sonia, having seen what is going on, now we have moved to virtual conferences and summit. Do you think the same agenda, the same thing that are being achieved when it comes to physical conferences are being achieved now that we moved to virtual conferences because of the pandemic?
I think that's a great question. So when we went into this pandemic, I think a lot of people freaked out a little bit because we weren't trained on how to do things. We didn't really understand how we were going to make the same connections or share the same learnings or really kind of interact in the same capacity. But I definitely think that this is going to work for our advantage and our benefit. So an example being that we are all here together from different continents, sharing advice, meeting each other, and being able to be thought leaders virtually. It just provides conferences to be more accessible, more affordable, and most importantly for thought leaders to kind of unite across the world without having to necessarily take flights or take kind of the travel commitments. There is definitely a perk in that. But for example, I know as a public speaker and someone who talks for a living basically about technology, I'm now able to approach Australia from the UK, which I wouldn't have done beforehand because I would have had to take a flight or stay in a hotel or really take the time out. And I think the last point to make is it provides proof of exactly what we're trying to talk about and what we're trying to share. This is all about crypto, blockchain, technology, emerging tech, and how that's going to disrupt the ways of working and the ways of living in the future. We are living that right now, day in, day out. And we have to acknowledge the beauty that is technology, which is helping us to come together and helping us to build this community, and most importantly helping us to have these conversations which we most probably wouldn't have done beforehand. The only negative in all of this is, as someone who, for example, gets paid to speak, budgets are tight, but then equally I don't personally think it's okay for conferences to be charging the same amount for a ticket that they would have in person virtually, because then we're still providing barriers to entry, which is exactly what technology is trying to break down.
Okay, interesting. You said a lot about it. Fiazin, what can you say about it here?
This pandemic has changed a lot of things. The first thing is everything has got digitized, like digital health, digital education, everything around digital platform when we are even working from home. So this virtual conference is also a plus point or an outcome of this pandemic. In fact, we can even say it's like a silver lining that has come out of this pandemic, because this has allowed this has many advantages. Because first thing is we get connected to people from around the world, just like Sonia said, and there's no limit of the attendees as well, because we are not bounded by a geographic space that that would limit the number of attendees. So anyone from anywhere can attend the conference and learn a lot of things. There have been virtual summits, virtual learning sessions in blockchain, due to which this technology has advanced a lot in these 2 or 4 weeks, which was not possible, I guess, in 2 years, which was not possible. This pandemic has made it possible in 2 or 4 weeks.
Okay, thank you very much. Tavonia, what can you say about it? The way things are being done, are we achieving the same results when it comes to future conferences?
I definitely agree with the other panelists, especially pointing back to what Sonia said. It's actually exactly what I was going to say. These obstacles that have been created for us has eliminated a lot of the people who were just seeking to financially profit off of conferences, etc., and bringing really the purists that really believe in this here. So I think that's actually a plus to, and then also making the information more accessible to people, more affordable. And I think this is what we asked for, and we're getting it. Sometimes you get what you ask for in the strangest ways, and you don't realize the benefit, the silver lining behind something. But I definitely realize the silver lining behind this. And that's one, people are shifting their faith from something that is what they think is secure. They're shifting their faith away from that. And that is being exposed as not being secure. and they're opening themselves up to options that are available. So they're seeing things differently. So all of the people who thought I was crazy 2 and 3 years ago, now are calling me to, up until now. So it's really fascinating to see how, a little bit of time can change things. And then in terms of the conferences as well, people who attend, they're attending because they really want to learn something too. So just like the people who are giving these conferences, they really have a message to share, and the people who come want to learn something. So I think that's a great thing. I personally was tired of all the glitz and glamour and the Hollywood and Vegas style cryptocurrency conferences that seemed like a lot more fluff than anything, and did not seem to be achieving the objective of bringing awareness to the general people.
Okay, that's interesting. You said the people that thought you were crazy are now coming back to you. I guess you made some predictions. Okay, having said that, having known that the virtual conferences and summits are making great impact, do we think, since we have already seen alternative and we have tested this virtual alternative to, do you think the virtual conferences and summits will be a better option after this pandemic, with conferences, companies embrace virtual conferences and summit more than the normal gathering of physical conferences? Sonia, do you think so?
I definitely hope so. I think we need to acknowledge that there's that kind of buzzword or phrase that's going around, the new normal. And a lot of people are like, oh, but we want to go back to being normal. The old normal. We have to acknowledge that old normal no longer exists, right? We can't go back to where we were, because then we're moving backwards. We have to think about the future going forward. What kind of everyone's mentioned silver lining quite a lot in this kind of panel event. What are the silver linings that we can take away? So I definitely hope that we are in a phase where we are virtual, we are using digital a lot more, we are creating accessibility. I personally am not, after this pandemic and after the health scare and after the acknowledgement that we are not the best or the most hygienic country in the world, I don't feel comfortable going to a large space full of like 3,000 people under one roof, where, as kind of my colleague mentioned, there's a lot of glitz and glamour, but it's not necessarily about the rich content. I don't necessarily feel comfortable doing that as much as I would have beforehand, but I most definitely do feel comfortable giving up my time and jumping on kind of these virtual events and really being able to share the thought leadership that we may have. And I think if organizations and companies, if they don't acknowledge the shift and the change, they're going to miss out on great talent, because we're talking about, we're kind of millennials and kind of above here. The Gen Zs and the Alphas, the new generation of people coming into the world, they are digital. They are really the consumers that we need to be targeting. They do things online, so we have to think about how can we communicate and meet them where they are, not expect them to do everything the same way that it's been done before.
That's interesting. Tavonia, what would you say? Do you concur with her? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that's going to get better eventually. It's going to scale. I'm not only the founder of a cryptocurrency, but I'm also the founder of a VR company, virtual reality, immersive environments, etc. So moving on to the next level is how can we make this experience more personable and better, and that's definitely augmented reality, virtual reality, etc. And that's the technology that's been sitting in the wait for a couple of years now to have its time in the sun. So now this is the opportunity for it to have its time in the sun. So eventually we'll be putting on headsets and as though we're in the same room, and the experience is going to change very rapidly. So, it's just only going to get better, and people are going to get more used to communicating like that. And then again, it opens up a world for a lot of people who don't do as much jet setting and traveling as we do as, speakers. And last year I can't even count how many countries I was in last year, but this year is a total drastic change. I've been here. I've been home, which I love, but I've been home since January. I was in Switzerland in Davos in January. So, and I did not know that was going to be my last trip outside of the country. So it definitely changed my paradigm for sure. And I can't imagine. It's not going to be the same. There's still going to be people who are very worried. They don't want to go out. They don't want to travel. They don't want to go on spaces with a lot of people. I never liked being in spaces with a lot of people. So this just, hey, we come into my world. I'm quite comfortable with it staying that way. However, the people who have been in that world, it's going to be some adjusting to them. But as a techie, as an engineer, a data scientist, developer, whatever, I spend so much time behind a computer that this is normal to me. So the new normal is my normal. So,
Okay.
hey.
Okay, Tabunya, you said you went to Davos. That was you traveled more than before. At least virtually, you've been to different countries now. When you start counting how many you've been to, I guess you're in Nigeria now. Okay.
Interestingly, I haven't been in Nigeria. I've been to Ghana.
Virtually now you're in Nigeria.
Virtually now, yeah, virtually I'm in Nigeria.
Okay, Fiasin, what can you say? What's your take on this? Do you think you're going to continue more of virtual conferences compared to the physical gathering?
I think it will go to normal, but it is going to take a lot of time because people are very scared to go out, just like Tawanya said. The situation is getting easy here in Australia. Schools have reopened, but still people are scared to go in groups. There are no large gatherings. And I personally prefer this setup because this setup allows me to attend a lot of learning sessions, lot of virtual events, which I was not able to do previously. Like for example, there's a blockchain event happening every week in Brisbane, and I stay in Sydney. So it was almost impossible for me to go there every week and attend such events. But after this pandemic, I can attend it sitting in my room with my leisure time. So I feel that for us as learners or being a technician, being a tech who's sitting in front of computers, this is perfectly fine. Like I'm happy with this.
Okay. Ahmed, what's your take on that? Do you think we are going back after this pandemic?
Exactly. I'm agreed with all the panelists actually. Just as a trainer, as a keynote speaker, I have traveled a lot. Blockchain is very new thing in Pakistan. Since August till January, I have visited a lot of actually from Karachi to you can say Abbottabad. Those are very end-to-end cities in Pakistan. So I have done hundreds of you can say sessions, right? To go each and every city. But now it's easy for me as well. So I am not going to travel. I am not going to do just come on Zoom or some place and talk to thousands of people. So that's very easy for me as well. So I am with obviously with the panelists. This is new normal, and this is the same thing we are talking about since last 5 years to tell people that okay, the work from home is something. Okay, we can teach this way. So now people are going to agree on that. So this is basically what my point of view.
Okay.
So this is our the new normal is our normal actually.
Interesting. So that's very interesting. We said it. People want things to be the new normal. So instead of going back to the old ways. So moving to the next topic, we are in different regions, and we have been seeing how things are being done virtually. Though there has not been over here in Nigeria, there has not been much of virtual conferences and summits, unlike other places. So how are conferences over there in your region, Tavonia? How is it over there? Conferences over
Uh,
there?
Plenty. I actually have another conference in about 2 hours to in a couple of hours. So, and that's an international. The women's tech conference is today. So, and tomorrow. And I guess the beautiful thing is, yeah, like you can squeeze all of that in. I was worried at first. I was like, oh, I got to speak at the Women's Tech Conference, but I have this in the morning. But hey, it's all linear. We're all online. I don't got to go to another location. So, I can do it all. But yeah, it's definitely a lot. I plan on having some. Everybody's like, well, hey, we can have a conference. We can launch. Some of us have been maybe thinking about launching our own conference, but maybe the funding and all of that was something that put us off. Now we have no excuse. Now it's like, okay, we can have a conference. So there are plenty different. At least here every other day there's something else.
Okay, interesting. Shazin, what's your take? How are the teams over there conferences going? Are there much conferences over there in your region?
Lee, there are plenty of conferences going on in Australia. Government is very keen to invest in blockchain startups. Like national roadmap for blockchain was government. This was a government roadmap. It was released on February 7th, which was just before the pandemic. And on April 23rd, the first meeting of the National Blockchain Roadmap Steering Committee was held, which clearly stressed on what COVID-19 means for the blockchain roadmap over the next 12 to 18 months. So the next 12 months is going to be opportunities, recovery, and careful prioritizing on what in the roadmap should the focus be. And this includes startup and enterprise, and also includes research and academics, and users of blockchain technology. There would be more focus on educating the masses in this technology. So yes, the focus definitely is on blockchain, and many institutes are also including this technology in their courses, so that there will be more technicians available. So
Okay.
yeah, this.
Okay, that's interesting. Ahmed, what's your take? How is it going over there? Conferences and summits.
Actually, in Pakistan, there is not more kind of summits and conferences about the blockchain. As I told you, the blockchain is a very new technology in Pakistan. But there is one thing is going on, that our president's initiative on cloud computing and AI is going on. That is called PIAIC. I am also a blockchain trainer there. So we are building teams there. We are training them. We ask them to come. So that's actually going on here, and they are doing very good work. Our president of Pakistan, take that initiative, and we are working on fourth IR the completely, and we are providing training. So this is going on in Pakistan right now. So everything is going online right now. Since last 1 year, we work, we travel there and go to talk to around 1,000 people, 1,000 students in one class. But right now we are going talk to thousands of people on the Facebook, on YouTube, and Zoom lectures. So everything is going on right now in online, and this is going on.
Okay, that is the new normal. Sonia, how is it going over there? Conferences, blockchain conferences over there?
Yeah, actually, similar to some of our colleagues, I have 2, possibly 3 other conferences today, just in today's day. Last week I had one in Australia. I'm already talking to people in America, and your kind of, to answer your question, more and more companies, organizations, and communities, including my own, have realized that this is the normal that we are to live now going forward. So we are thinking of how can we create the virtual events, how do we get virtual speakers. I've realized through my network that before we even get to blockchain and crypto, before we even get to the emerging tech, we haven't even spoken about tech as a general, as a whole, as an industry. And a lot of kind of minority ethnics and minoritized groups, especially in the UK, don't have even the accessibility to the basic education in tech. So we're launching a global virtual mentorship scheme. Normally you have to meet your mentor in person, but now because it's global, we've got mentors all the way from Pakistan to Kenya to kind of Guatemala, right? But it means that we can share information, and then the next one we'll do is one towards kind of more emerging tech. So to answer your question in summary, yes, there are virtual conferences going online. Yes, we've already been a part of some. Yes, there are so many more to come. And it's very exciting because, you know, similar to what's been mentioned before, I can now speak at 4 things in a day in different countries virtually, rather than have to kind of, you know, before this, we had to either fly there or accommodate it as usual and limit ourselves. But I can also now get involved in initiatives. So for example, you know, sitting in the UK, my background is Pakistani, so I'm talking to people in Pakistan about how I can virtually help students there, and especially young girls that wouldn't have had the accessibility beforehand. So I just, like I said before, I think there's a real beauty in it, and it's something to be very excited about, and hopefully it means that more of us and more around the world, especially the younger generation of students, will know about blockchain and crypto and emerging tech and how they can get into it.
Interesting. You're doing great, and things are happening in the ecosystem. So, what are the things, the impact? Let's go generally in living summits and everything. What are the impacts of COVID-19 generally on blockchain and cryptocurrency? Sonia, let me begin with you.
I think it's the uncertainty, to be honest. I think there's a lot of uncertainty, and there is a lot of uncertainty both with security, with time, with what's happening in the future. You know, we've seen through technology, and the more people are online, the more the other people are able to kind of hack, and there is a security issue. I believe that though blockchain and crypto are safe in its own kind of little bubble, there is definitely this new wokeness when it comes to kind of security, accessibility, and is it safe? So I think that will be a different dynamic that we'll see play out in kind of blockchain and crypto. And secondly, it will be the education aspect. So we'll have more and more and more people actually understand what it is. We'll be able to provide resources and tools to maybe those who hadn't necessarily. The last thing we have to kind of play on both parts, right, is as we go online and as things are virtual, we also have to acknowledge those who don't have the tools or resources to go online and be virtual. So there's a shift in the world and a dynamic to say, well, technology is possibly one of the most basic needs that the kind of ecosystem now requires. How do we make sure that everybody has the access to technology if we want them to learn about emerging tech such as blockchain and crypto?
Okay, interesting. Ahmed, what's your take on that? What have been the impact of COVID-19 generally on blockchain and cryptocurrency?
Actually, the thing is exactly like the Sonia said. It's you can say COVID-19. Actually, there is a thing that is post COVID-19. There is no and pre COVID-19. So they are not exist anymore. We are where we are right now. This is a new thing. Like I told you, that this is a new normal for all of us. We are not going to change it anymore. Nobody can change it, right? So that's my take, actually.
Okay. Tavonia, what's your take on that? The impact of COVID-19 on the blockchain and crypto space?
Well, definitely on my behalf, I've seen a positive impact on blockchain and crypto, because again, we were such fringes, and COVID kind of legitimized us a lot, especially to just the traditional conservative sector of the world. They're now looking at, you know, and then also COVID slowed everything down long enough so that people can consume other information, take time to learn things, and see like, oh wow, this was here. So that's what we experienced with Guapcoin. A lot of people, had no idea that we were even, operating and doing what we were doing. And now we're getting a lot more traction than we did. So it definitely worked to the benefit. The whole world had to slow down to see what was really important and what really matters. So that was very helpful.
That was a
I honestly hope it stays a little slow for a while. Confession.
That's funny. Just what's your take? What has been the impact of COVID-19 on blockchain and cryptocurrency?
Say a lot of things have happened since February. Like we had never realized that we would be in this situation before. But what has come out of the situation is like everything has taken a digital platform. But with this, another thing has come out of this is is digital crime, like data gets stolen, malware is getting installed, or cyber attacks. So it has increased the awareness and willingness around the world to seek out transformational opportunities that are essential to both recovery and building more resilient systems in the future. And I think this is where blockchain comes into the picture.
Okay.
Which, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Lastly, before we draw the curtain on the panel discussion, we really talked about the virtual summit happening in the world. And now, what are their alternatives? Because when we go for summits physically, the reason there is to network, to create awareness about the ecosystem. So are there alternatives, other ways we could pass this information other than summit, whether be it virtual or physical? Tavania, what's your take?
So now you asked me first. I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
I said, normally virtual conferences, both virtual and physical, is to create awareness about the ecosystem. And so I'm asking, is there alternative to virtual, other ways we could create awareness other than conferences and summits?
Are there other ways we can create awareness? You said?
Yes. And
Definitely. I think that out of this, a lot more focus on education is going to come out anyway. A lot more collaboration. Collaboration can help bring more awareness, especially when you are now able to connect more locally. Because I think once we were traveling and we're doing international conferences, it's such a big endeavor. You're dealing with everybody, but I think that we need to become more active locally, and because we could be more effective in educating and bringing people in who are from our locale than all of these different broad places all over the world. So now it's time to kind of be home with your family, bring your family and your family's family, whereas we didn't get an opportunity to spend a lot of time on our family and just the local people. But now we got plenty of time to deal with the people who really matter, right? So you're dealing with your family and your close friends and colleagues, etc. These are going to be the people who are going to be eventually consistent with the movement. And then people who you can touch every day and people who can personally see the effect and the growth. So, this is the era in which we're moving into, and, can be more effective in what we're doing.
Okay. Fiazin, are there alternatives to creating awareness and networking other than summit, be it virtual or physical? Are there other alternatives? Fiazin?
This is the best thing, like virtual seminars, virtual events. This is the best thing that is happening, and this is creating a lot of awareness. where students can attend, not just students, even technical techies can attend a lot of learning events and update their skills. So I don't think this something would be better than this current situation.
Okay, thank you. Ahmed, what's your take on that? Other ways we could network and still create awareness about the ecosystem?
Yeah, actually, we all are doing the same thing, right? We are giving awareness at that time. Now our audience is far larger than the before. Now we can do virtually. We can like I am also arranging few seminars, few events, but that is online for international. For so that's I'm not going anywhere. Before that, that's problem for me, right? But now it's easy. I can do whatever it takes, right? So we are providing awareness to everybody. So that's going on, and it's going on. It's move on, right? Moving
Yes.
on.
Okay, Sonia, what's your take on that?
To be honest, I've never networked more than I have virtually over the last few months. Because we have the time and we have the resources, the tools, I've been able to reach out to people who I necessarily wouldn't have been able to connect with before because maybe they were of their location or because of the time difference, and jump on a Zoom call and really connect and have that coffee. And I think a lot of people in my ecosystem are finding that also, because if you are slightly more introverted or slightly more reserved, it may be easier to have that one-to-one coffee rather than have to physically go out of your comfort space to meet someone. And if you're slightly more extroverted and confident, you can genuinely direct message someone and say, would you like to interact and share notes? I think the second thing that I'd like to point out is your question is also about how are you sharing resources now? And my personal LinkedIn and my company page LinkedIn has grown by 50% in the last 2 months, right? So my connections, I get probably like 500 to 600 connections a month at this point, and that is predominantly because I'm now using the online tools we have to share information, either in ebooks, PDFs, or kind of one pages, so that everybody is aware of it. So I definitely think that the way that we are distributing content and the way that we are acknowledging how we share is different. And the last thing is that I've seen a lot more kind of, I've seen I've seen an increase in like podcasts. So especially to do with kind of emerging tech and technology, blockchain, crypto. So it just means that you can share information from the base, from your home, from where you're comfortable, and still make it accessible so that you can help everybody learn. And, kind of echoing what my fellow colleagues have said, it's given us a lot more time to reflect about who we are and who we want to be, what we want to put out there, how we're adding value, but most importantly, reflect on the information that we're taking in and kind of where our energy is best being spent.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the panel discussion. I must confess, this is the most interesting. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Tavonia, for joining us on CoinNewsExtra panel discussion.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fiazin.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Fiazin, for joining us.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me here.
Okay, thank you, Sonia, for joining us.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Okay, it's our pleasure. So